Hey everybody. So we got a little something different here for you today. I was asked by a viewer, DJQuad, to take a look at a blueprint for him. Because we've been working on this whole thing and how we're going to set up our launches and stuff like that, he has a setup that he's been working on for it, and he's been having some problems with it, and he asked me to take a look at it. So I took a look at it and tested it all out, and it seems to be working pretty good. Only I guess he's still having some problems with it. So we're gonna take a look at it here real quick. Now, one of the things I spotted right off is over here he's missing a constant combinator. And that's real easy to fix. I copied one and I'll just throw one in real quick. It doesn't matter. It's not asking for anything. Now, the way he's got this set up, and I'm going to go through it here, is he's got his antenna, his receiver antenna coming from wherever it is that he wants to launch his stuff to, and he's got a signal that comes down, and it reads how much everything that he has up on his station or whatever, and inputs it into a red wire, and that red wire comes around here and comes in here. So what this is doing is he's got a red wire coming in saying, take everything and multiply it by -1 and put it back into here on this. On the other side, he's got everything. If everything is greater than 0, output the number. So basically, he's taking what he has on hand, comparing it to what he has set here, and if what he has on hand is more than what he has it set here for, of course you're going to get a negative number because of the arithmetic here of -1. If it's less than what he has set for each of his items, and here's how he's doing it. So, like for instance, his low density structures, he wants 2K worth of low density structures wherever he's shipping stuff to. So if he's got, say, 2K or 3K coming in here, well, 3K times -1 is -3K, plus the 2K, right, is going to give this a signal which is less than 1, right? So this is not going to do anything until it gets to the point where, say, this only has 500, this is asking for 2K, then 2K minus 500 is going to be 1500. It's going to export that number, right? And that's going to come out, and the next thing he's got going here is this is reading off of his rocket silo. This is the part I still have to work on. So he's got a decider combinator here that says if his rocket parts are equal to or greater than 100, then output a 1 on this signal. So it's basically coming in here and saying if red, which is what this is greater than 1, turn this on and output whatever signal's coming into it. So all of these items that he wants will then be passed through. If the rocket's not ready, it won't pass these numbers through. It's a way to keep it from trying to fill the rocket until the rocket's built. Great idea. I like it. Here, of course, he's asking for his rocket sections, and here he's asking for his space capsule. Okay. Now, he doesn't have this set up to also say you can't bring in a space capsule. It just when it's only got the 1. All right. But it works. Now, this, I'm not entirely sure what this is here for. There's nothing going into it. It may be something else that he wants coming in here at some time. But anyway, so there's that. So now what happens is that outputs that signal. Green circuit comes down here. Each of these is set to a signal of 1. Now, the way he's doing this, I mean, there may be other ways to do it. I am certainly no expert on this, so I'm not going to judge how he's doing it. This is a lot more compact than mine's going to be, so kudos for that. But what he's doing is he's got his constant combinator is outputting on his signal. It's got a, for instance, this one is a blue chip, this one's a red chip, you know, so on and so forth down the line. Outputting a 1 on that, right? And then he's coming into arithmetic combinator, and he's adding 1,000,000 to that, right? So he's taking this signal, adding 1,000,000 to it, and outputting it, all right? Then it's coming in here, and if the signal is greater than 1,000,000, which if he's asking for something, so he's got 1,000,001, right? This is that green signal coming off of here. So he's got 1,000,000, which is coming out of here, and greater than 1, you know, whatever is coming out of here, added together, it's going to output it if it's greater than that 1,000,000, right? So let's say he's got 2,000 that it wants. 2,000 is going to come in here. You're going to get the 1,000,000 coming out of here plus the 2,000 coming in here, so you're going to get 1,000,000, 2,000, and that's what it's going to output. If there was nothing coming in here, nothing would go through. Then he's subtracting the 1,000,000. Now he probably, in my opinion, I don't know that he needs this. I think he could just get away with sending the signal of how many he wants into here. But this is how he's doing it. I'm not going to knock his design. It seems to work just fine. So he's going to subtract that 1,000,000. All that's going to be left basically is the number that's coming out of here. And then that number, if it's greater than 0, is going to be passed forward to the requester chest, and it's going to filter into his stack inserter. So each of these items will request something, and he's got, you know, each of them set for something, and they're each going to fill this rocket, right? And that's going to go in the rocket, but it'll only do that. It'll only be ready to do that when this rocket is built. So let's do a for instance here, shall we? Right now, this is not getting anything. It's not set to, it's set to test, but we'll get into that in a minute. Right now, there's no signal coming into here. So down here, this is seeing that there's nothing coming in here to say, hey, I have, you know, 1,000 blue circuits. So what's going to want to come out of here is the 1,000 blue circuit, blue circuit signal. So you'll see it over here. It says it's asking for 1,000 blue circuits. Now it's going to get into here and say, okay, I want, you know, input signal is 1,000 blue circuits, but there's not going to be anything outputted because the rocket's not ready yet. Okay. So until the rocket's ready, it's not going to request anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 40, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 950. I just don't want to put more than I need in there. Not that I can't take them out, but I just don't want to put more than I need in there. All right, so now it's 99, right? So when I put this last, so now it's asking for it. Is it? Oh, it is 100. All right, so there's 100 in there. See, now it's asking for all of the stuff, right? So everything is turned on and requesting all of the stuff. Now, what it's not doing is it's not saying, hey, there's no capsule. or hey, there's no fuel. Okay, so maybe that's something I would change. I would want a complete rocket before I started filling it up. I'd want it fueled, and I'd want a capsule so that I know it was ready for launch. But be that as it may, that's not ready yet for what he's got set up here. Okay, so it's basically saying, give me all these things, and we're going to put them in this rocket until they reach the level of what I'm looking for. All right? So let's say, for instance, blue circuits. Well, let's do copper. Okay, copper. He's wanting 4,000 copper. Okay, now I don't know if I have 4,000 copper here. Yeah, I have enough. All right, so I have 4,000 copper. So it's asking for 4,000 copper. It's looking for that number to be in there. Now, as soon as I've put that number in, I put in 4,000, right? I've got 4,800 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. It's asking for the copper. I put in 4,000. And 1. Whoops. No. That's 3.8. I grabbed it from the wrong place. Right? So that's 3.9. $4,000. The copper goes away. Right? Now, right, there we go. So the copper goes away. So it is tracking what's in the rocket, and as soon as we get the amount that we want, it's turning it off. Okay? So we're good to go there. So that's working fine too. It's all of this seems to be working. Now, what I wanted to test before, and the way I did it was this, is I basically just took a chest, and I put a chest here, and I hooked the chest to the receiver, right? And I said, okay, we're asking for copper. We put 4,000 copper in. No, actually, I didn't do it that way. What I did is I took away this receiver, okay? Just to say, okay, if the receiver is bringing in a signal from wherever, right? So let's say this receiver is bringing my copper signal from wherever I want it to be. If I've got, above the amount that he wants up there, which is 4,000, you're going to see it's not asking for any copper until I take copper away and trigger the condition. Now it's going to ask for copper. So I'm basically, with that chest, simulating whatever signal I'm going to bring in from space, right? So if we put this back and we hook this back into here, now it's the same thing, only it'll be from wherever this is receiving it. We're going to send the numbers down through here. It's going to say, oh shit, I don't have enough copper. Fill up the rocket. Okay. So I tested this with several different materials. It all seems to work at the levels that he wants it working at. So that seems to be okay. And I just swapped in and out what the things were. So now let's pretend we go to space. Okay, now we're up here in space. This is space, okay? So now I want 5 of those. This is what he would theoretically have up in space. This is going to represent what we have up in space. So this is going to be his warehouse, or it's going to be his equipment line, or whatever. And this is going to tell the transmitter what it has. Does it have, it has 2100 heat shields, it has 4000 copper, it has 4000 plates, right? And that's going to transmit that. But here's the thing that you have to do with this. If you click on this transmitter, we have to set this to a channel. All right, it starts off initially, when we set it down, it defaults to channel 1. All right, so if we go from here to here, it's going to be transmitting on channel 1, and it's going to transmit whatever's connected to it. So in this case, it's going to transmit these totals. But down here, I'm set to, let's change this, test, right? This is what I had it set to. I'm not going to get those signals from space if this is set different than that. Now, when I put this down, it's going to default to channel 1. All right, it's going to default to channel 1. That one's set to channel 1 by default, so they're both going to be channel 1. All right, so when that's hooked up, it's going to tell it, hey, there's my copper. You'll see it up here in red. I've got copper. I've got a copper signal coming in. So you always want to make sure this and this are set to the same channel. Now that's a difference between what he's doing and what I'm doing. He's using a single receiver and a single transmitter for all of his numbers. If you remember mine, I'm using, actually let's look at it better here. I'm using a single transmitter for each material. It uses up a little more resources as far as stuff, and it uses a bit more space, but I can then individually control these. I just like having the extra control, whether it's a waste or not, I don't know. Anyway, so let's just say that we set this to test. And like I said, I just click on it and it opens it up. We'll say test. Right, and then we got to go up to where, first we got to save. All right, so that's set to test. We have to set this one to test as well. Now, the nice thing about having these channels is because you can have 15,000 of these things as long as you name them something different. The only one it's going to talk to is the one that's named the same, right? So now we have 4.3K of copper up here. All right, so 4.3K of copper down here. You see we got our signal coming in. So therefore, our copper request is turned off. Okay, it's not going to fill the copper up. So the next thing I'm going to do, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put these in the network. I think I've already got some bots at somewhere. Yeah, there they are. Okay, I got some logistic bots in here. So the three things I have up here already are heat shields, copper plates, iron plates. So we're going to put some in each of these. So heat shields, copper plates, and I could have put them all in one, but I didn't want to. I wanted to use 3 different chests just so you can see. So now they're available, but they're not being asked for. So the bots aren't moving them here to put them into here. If I go up here and click on copper, let's say, keep using copper as an example just because it's easy. As I take away copper, right, at some point it's going to get below that requisition number, and it's going to grab out copper, and it's going to start putting it in this chest until this chest, until this rocket reaches what the number is that it wants, right? Now, this is 4,000 or 404, right? Now we know we want 4,000. So there's 3,600, right? 3,600 plus 400, plus or minus because of stack inserter size, is we're back to our 4,000 that we want of our copper, right? So if I take some more out, if I'm up here on the space station and I use up some more, the bots are going to continue to do that little filling things up until either A, I run out of copper, or B, the rocket has as much copper as I'm asking for in it, and it's going to turn off this request, right? So now we have 500 and 3.5, okay? Now if I take another stack out, it's going to be down here asking for it, but it can't put it in because there's none in here. But if I then turn around and put it in there, the bots will go after it. It'll put it in the rocket. So that seems to be working, and I can do the same thing, you know, with any of my any of my numbers up there, right? I can do it with that one, and I can do it with that one, and it'll come and it'll take them away, and it'll grab them. Okay, so that's working. The big thing is you have to have these to the same channel. You have to have them connected, and then that works. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's what's going to happen, and there are ways around this, and I don't know 100% what the way to fix this is. It's now got what it wanted. Okay, it's got all the copper it wanted, all the steel it wanted, all the iron it wanted, all the copper it wanted, etc., etc. Okay, let's say it's done that. All right, let's just do this. Let's grab this out of here, so we don't have to go back and forth to space. All right, so now the only one that it's still, oh, well, it's not asking for it. It just happens to have some in the chest. All right, so it's not asking for copper. It's not asking for iron, and it's not asking for heat shields. Great, we got them. Now what? The rocket's not going to go anywhere. The reason the rocket's not going to go anywhere is a couple of things. One, doesn't have any fuel in it. I'll have to put fuel in it. Okay. So this will fill up. And I'm telling it to go to Novice Launchpad just because it's the closest. I don't have to use as much fuel. It doesn't matter. I've saved the game. I'm going to revert to my original save. I just want to show you this. Once it's full, and it's got the stuff it's asking for, it's almost there. All right, it's just going to sit there, fat, dumb, and happy. It doesn't care. Why not? Well, because we haven't set our launch trigger. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. And this is the difference between what he's doing here and what I'm doing in mine. In mine, my plan is I am going to have, this is the bus, if you'll remember. This is the warehouse waiting on the rocket. This is the rocket. If you'll remember on my setup, one warehouse is going to be equal to one rocket. So it will fill up a rocket completely. What he's got going here is he's asking for specific numbers of things. And once he gets that specific number of thing, he's stopping. Well, the rocket's never going to fill up. So you have a couple of different launch triggers that you can set. First one, of course, is manual, where you launch it yourself. Second one is launch on full fuel. Well, it's full of fuel. If I hit launch, if I set it to this, it doesn't give a shit what's in here. It's going to launch. So as soon as the fuel is full, it's going to launch. Well, I don't want it to just do that, because every time it fills up with fuel, it'll launch, whether there's anything in it or not. This is the one I'm going to use in my setup. Launch on full cargo. Okay? I'm going to have it launch when this cargo is completely full, because I'm going to set my warehouse to hold as much as the rocket will hold. And when the warehouse is empty, the rocket's full. Next one is launch on green signal when fuel is full. So he could potentially come in here with a green signal and say, okay, nothing is asking for anything, which means I've got everything I need to go up there. Let me launch. The problem with that, in my opinion, I think, is what's going to happen is every time the rocket builds, there's no signal waiting for it, it's going to launch. What he'll have to do is he'll have to add an SR latch to this that says, okay, give that green signal, but don't give that green signal until it has asked for stuff and had that fulfilled. So it'll sit on a red signal. A signal will come in and say, I need copper, iron, whatever. It'll fill it, and then that'll change over to a green signal, and this will launch. And it'll do that until, another signal turns it red again, so on and so forth. All three of these should, in my opinion, work about the same way. So launch on green signal when the fuel is full, launch on green signal when the cargo is full, launch on green signal or when the cargo is full. So either or. So I think what he's going to have to do is set up if he wants to launch with less than a full rocket, he's either going to have to launch manually, or he's going to have to set up another signal. And I think he could do it this way. And like I say, we're going to launch regardless. Make sure that's okay. I'm going to hook this to here. All right. And then I'm going to tell this let's grab a chest, and let's grab a wire to go to the chest. All right. So if I don't know, what do I got in my hand? So if curved pipe, right, is greater than 1, output a green signal. 1, okay? So if I put a pipe in there, it shouldn't do anything, right? I don't have an output signal of green. Let's put this here. Make sure it's not hooked to anything. Let's monitor that. Right? Nothing. You know what? Better yet, let's do this first. Let's test it first before we send it up. All right, here to here, right? Monitor this. So we're going to say if this is pipe to ground greater than 1, whatever signal this is, right? And then we're going to say green signal 1. All right. So I got no green signal. If we put another pipe in there, We can look at that. We put a second pipe in there. Now I've got a green signal, right? 2 pipes greater than green signal. 1 pipe, no green signal. All right? So that's going to be whatever system to tell this to launch when this isn't full. Now, if we set this to launch on green signal when the fuel is full, all right, and we hook this to this. Now, we still have no green signal because we only have 1 pipe. As soon as whatever changes and sends that green signal, there it is, right? So that's the green signal telling that to launch. And that's going to go up and take whatever stuff we just put into it. So I think this is what you're missing. I think you're missing something. Just tell it to go. If you're getting the signal from space and it's coming down here and it's telling it to load and it's loading the rocket, but the rocket's just sitting there, then it's because you don't have a go signal. And you have a few, like I say, you have some choices. You can launch manually every time, or you can set it up to launch on full cargo. But it's not going to be a full cargo until all of this stuff is given it what it wants it to be. I hope that helps. I didn't explain it necessarily the best. I hope it was okay to follow through. But that's what I think is going on. Other than that, this is a hell of a lot better system as far as compactness than what my system is. I like this system. If you can overcome this part of it, this is going to work really well. Now, my way around that was to just fill the rocket up every time with a completely full rocket full of stuff. I don't know which is better. But there you go. It worked. The whole thing worked. Now, if we go up to novice orbit, there's the stuff. It went. Now it's just going to sit up there, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna reload the save. But yeah, this works really well. I think you can play around with this part of it and maybe get rid of this and just do the inputs. But that's something you have to play with. And if you do, my suggestion is don't launch rockets to do it. Just play pretend like I did down here. And say, okay, this chest is my bus. This chest is my input circuits. This chest is my rocket. And before you start building a rocket, test it this way and see. Because you can replace this landing pad with a chest on any of these and test just that part of the system, I think. And kind of play around with it. But I like this system. I think it works. I think it's nice and compact. You got, let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30. So you could have 30 items, potentially more, because you could fit some in down here. But you can have 30 separate entities going into a rocket, as long as you set your levels. And send it up. It would certainly save a lot of launch pads. You just got to crack that nut on your launch trigger. I think that may be what's holding you back. So I hope that helps you. I hope that helps other people as well. If you're still having problems with it, give me a yell and we'll work through it. All right, man. Take care. Bye.